Evening everybody, so we're on our way home from a 3-0 loss to Man United. Not really sure what we can say about it to start off with, apart from that was dog shit, but we're just going to have a chat in the car as we go. I have my learned wingman Ian,
hello
George,
guys.
and Neil, so we're just going to chat away through it. So guys, start off. Who wants to start off giving your opinions of the game today?
Go on, George.
Right, well, what is there to say? I mean, it's just a pile of problems that is Tottenham Hotspur at the moment, isn't it? I think we're in a very bad situation, very toxic. I mean, it's one of the first times you've sat in a ground and sort of felt mildly uncomfortable with the atmosphere rather than the actual football itself. Lots of aggro against the manager, against the board, against the players as well, and I think rightly so in the current climate. There's so many different problems, but yeah, it's, I think we could all see it coming. I think after recent results, it's just a shame it actually happened in the way it did. Very similar to the Chelsea game as well. Not a lot in it in the first half but I think the game's there for the taking, and then you end up conceding 3 silly goals, and then yeah, it pans out the way it does. So.
The shame about it is the fact that Man United were meant to be the team that was under the pressure, wasn't it? Yeah. And all of a sudden it's actually now gone straight round to us again. Yeah?
But I knew, or everybody knew, that they were going to come out and do the fighting. You know, basically we've got to come out next week and start fighting for our places.
Yeah, but they weren't actually very good still, were they? All that happened was they actually just took us on the counter.
No man marking, was it?
Yeah.
Just plenty of space. They could just do what they wanted.
There was probably 5 players in our team that were probably being carried tonight. You know? Davies was shocking, wasn't he?
Oh.
Surprised he was in the squad, to be fair.
Right.
That was a shock, and I think a lot of people were shocked by that.
I don't know if I can completely pin it on him, but I think he's probably at fault for this. I mean, in the first half and towards the second as well, they had one man over on Man United's right-hand side and our left-hand side. There was always a man spare, like always someone over, ready to ping a cross in or double up on someone. You didn't have the problem down our right side, but it was almost as if Davies was 5 yards off and there was no one helping him out in front of him. And it was just so unbalanced. And not be funny, Ronaldo's goal, although he's a fantastic finish, there's any competent defender volleys that off his toes and it doesn't get anywhere near it. And you've got a 5'9" bloody fullback, literally, jumping for a ball he's never going to get, and then obviously you get punished for a quality player like Ronaldo is. So that can happen when you're playing good opposition. But it's about how you react. And I didn't feel like we were going to score today at all. I don't know about you boys, but
I thought it was difficult.
Yeah.
I thought some was
committed, and we weren't creating enough chances.
But that's our trouble all the way through, isn't it?
The final ball was like, go back to the goalie.
But it's just constant. Like there's absolutely no creativity in that team, and they are just passing sideways and backwards and sideways and backwards. The guy sat behind me. He just kept saying, he kept shouting out, "You goes open, you goes open." You might as well pass to him, because that's all we were doing. There was no attacking threat in that team at all, and so that's got to come from the manager for me, because the players have played with creativity before, right? I know he's trying to shore it up by keeping possession. When you've got possession, they can't score against you. But that possession has got to lead somewhere. Yeah. And it's not leading anywhere. It's just backwards, sideways, backwards, sideways. And we're getting nowhere.
You had one shot on target, didn't you, in the 78th minute? And that's shocking when you're at home in a big game like it is today.
Well, it wasn't even on target, was it?
Well, no, it weren't. But it went down on the stats, which was a saving grace for anything today. Not that it means anything. But, I mean, it was just shocking. I mean, and the thing is that what you miss the most is that man's pulling the strings in the middle, linking the defence to the attack.
Yeah.
You haven't got that. Yeah. And that's the problem. That's a massive problem. And until you get someone like that in, whoever it is, then you're not creating anything.
I wonder if Dembele has got any children that we can call up.
Oh, Dembele.
Well, yeah. I mean,
because that's somebody we're missing, isn't it?
We'll take it back to the old saying. It's like you've got you took Dembele out of the team, you took Eriksen out of the team, and you've never replaced them. And since then, your team has been crumbling to the point where now you've got. We know it's good talent with Kane, Son, Lucas, all these players that are very good players, but when they aim for not playing in a system with the quality and structure that we had with Dembele and Eriksen, even Wanyama when he was there as solidity, we haven't got that there anymore. And Højbjerg and Skip, they're tidy players, but they're not exactly what you need.
Yeah, but you only need one of those in the team at a time. You don't need them both being in there. Yeah.
I thought Skip played all right today. Yeah. I thought he, in patches. There was a couple of bits. I think, was it him who fell that led to their second goal?
Yeah.
So you can't say he was brilliant, but he was pretty good. I thought for the most part, he was putting himself about and he was getting involved and he was trying to break things up and it always felt like this game was going to be a midfield battle type game rather than anything else. I mean, I called it out. I thought it was just going to be a 1-to-1, bit boring, But when we started, I thought that we had a little bit of passion. It seemed like the players were up for it, but it just died.
They were chasing everything down. Kane was running across the box, wasn't he?
Yeah, right from the start. But it just died. It just died off, didn't it? And that's what bothers me the most, is the fact that it just dies off. And it's almost like, to me, I feel like the players know that it's shit and that they're not getting anywhere. And so it's like when you're working in a job and you're unhappy in your job, doing what you're doing, it's hard to stay motivated. And I just wonder whether any of them are kind of, not taking on board, or not believing in what Nuno's trying to do. Because we don't believe it, do we? I mean, let's be honest. Do we think, any of us in this car, do we think that Nuno is doing the right things?
No.
Right. So if we see that, and we're not professional footballers who understand and are working with him day to day, and we can see that, then surely they can see that as well.
I mean, there's an old saying about who motivates a motivator. Well, the problem is nowadays Nuno is not doing anything to
Mate, the bloke's a mannequin. He just stands there with his arms crossed and does nothing. He doesn't call the players out. He doesn't give direction. He doesn't argue with a fourth official. He don't do anything.
It's the lack of know-how in terms of changing the game as well, though, isn't it? I mean, when things aren't going right, you change your formation, you put a player in a different position or something like that. You do something a little bit different to try and get some out of the game. And all he does is that he puts a player like for like in a substitution in a system that is not working. Like today, he brought off Lucas. And on Bergwijn.
But that was weird.
And that didn't go down very well, did it? That was when so we got to pick that up, right? Because that was the moment the place erupted into boos. Not because Bergwijn was coming on or anything to do with it being Bergwijn, I don't think. But for me, it was about taking Lucas off. It was probably our most
penetrating
player. I mean, he runs down more blind alleys than Stevie Wonder, but he does try.
He's positive, isn't he?
Yeah, he's positive.
Yeah,
he's going forwards.
But he's also positive all year, isn't he?
He's willing to take responsibility. He runs back, gets the ball, he's going right off we go again. Then, but nobody else is willing to do that. Otherwise he's pretty tippy tappy backwards and forwards.
I mean, even Son's doing that. That's the point I was going to make earlier. Even about the manager and what he's getting them to do, because even Son is playing the ball back. And that's not his game. His game is running onto the ball and chasing it down. It's not this playing it back to Emerson and playing it across to Lo Celso and Lo Celso back to Emerson and Emerson back to Son. It's just not happening. It's not going anywhere.
The only thing I think about it is I can't see anybody in the team that's likely to make, and the reserves or anywhere that's likely to make a difference. You really need drastic wholesale changes. And I wonder whether they're actually, because I really trust the new signings that the Paratici and that has brought in. I think they've been brilliant.
Well, I think Romero looks a class above the rest. In terms
you can
of
see the
what
difference.
You've got in the squad, the class that he shows, the composure.
But Emerson has got so much energy as well, hasn't he?
What is that? He played very well. They were two players that were actually playing for you today.
Yeah.
Like properly in terms of their performances and their output. Everything they had in terms of quality was there.
But one worry that you've got is that if they spend too much time playing with that lot, as it is at the moment, they'll be starting to go negative as well. You know?
It's a mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
We all know how brilliant their players can be, but until they start, getting a bit of motivation and start playing well, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, like you saw United what happened when they sacked Mourinho. They got Ollie in, and everyone was like, everyone was happy again, happy as Larry, and they ended up going on a 10-game run or something like that, winning all the games.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if a similar thing happened to us if we done that. But I don't think it's as simple as sacking the manager and getting someone else in at all.
Well, the problem is if you sack the manager, who's going to come in, right? Because let's face it, we couldn't get any of the top targets that we wanted before we got Nuno. So now, in a middle of a season, you ain't going to get anybody unless it's someone who's out of a job or whatever, right? And so you haven't got that option. So if Nuno goes, it's going to be Mason, yeah.
Well, unless you went for someone like Graham Potter.
Yeah, but he don't want the job. He don't want the job. And why would he want to come to Tottenham when he's doing all right, thanks very much, at Brighton?
Because he's probably reached his pinnacle of what he can achieve there. Whereas actually Tottenham, the scope is there.
Brighton fans would argue against you, wouldn't they? And to be fair, if you're coming into a club that's not spending money, that his fans have got, really high expectations now because of what we went through with Pochettino. We now think that we are a top club, but we ain't the top club. We are where we are. We're a mid-table team, and Daniel Levy and Joe Lewis won't give a monkeys about being mid-table. Not really.
As long as it's profitable. That's
because the bar's still full.
Yeah, that's right.
People are still spending lots of money. They're all chanting Levy out and Nuno out, banging on the walls and everything, whilst buying a pint in the bar. That's all going straight into his pocket. So, it's a crazy situation, and I just think if we get rid of the manager, we're back to square one. But at the same time, he's just not doing the right things for me.
But do you think Ryan Mason will get those players to play better than what Nuno's doing?
I don't know. I think you could probably get them players playing better than Nuno is.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you brought Ryan Mason, it'd be a very similar situation to what you had at the back end of last season.
Yeah, but he had a really good win ratio, didn't he?
Yeah,
it don't really mean nothing, does it?
It's one of them where it's like we looked right against some of the crapper teams under Mason, and then again in the dodgy games like Leeds away, I think I remember, and other ones I don't know.
But you see,
it was shocking.
We're actually in November now, right? Well, we're actually coming up, beginning in middle of December. You've actually got Carabao Cup quarter-final, right? Now, you're only a couple of games away from a final then, on a cup. And that's the one thing that most Spurs fans seems to crave at the moment, isn't it? A trophy?
Well, yeah, because that's what the game's about. It's about winning silverware.
In
for the
which
fans,
case, we're still in for 3 trophies at the moment, aren't we? 4 trophies.
Yeah, but playing the way you're playing, there's no realistic chance that we've got.
No, but if you've got this time, the rest of this season, to make differences, to actually get the players to perform better.
But what differences are you seeing? I'm seeing nothing different. I mean, today is the worst game I've seen Tottenham play since last week. And last week was the worst game before the week before. I mean, they are just not going anywhere. They're just not moving on the top.
It reminds me of Juan de Ramos times and sort of like times like that, when it was
you're a bit more plush now, that's it. Do you know what I mean? You've got some fancy players who ain't playing very well, that's what that is. And back then, I think the difference is
we didn't have any fancy
players. You had one decent player that you'd look at and think, I mean, Spurs have always had that one player who's good in their team.
Yeah, rather than the team. Yeah, we've always had like the one really good player and a load of average.
It's a different dynamic now. You've got a lot of very good players in your team who aren't playing very well, and it's about how you motivate them and get them going. And that'll be finding the structure that you play in the team that you play. You need to put someone in that team that will feed other people as well, and you have not got that at all.
But that's my point, right? About this thing with the manager. I think the players don't believe in what they're trying to do. Because you can't. I mean, when that game started today, like I said, there was some passion in there, and the players were trying. Because you've just said it, right? These are very good footballers. So if they're very good footballers, and they just need motivation, that's the manager's job, right? And if it's not working, if you're doing the same thing week in, week out, and it's not working, you've got to start changing it and doing something different. But he doesn't strike me as a sort of bloke who's got any other idea about what he wants to do. He's just doing the same things with different players from time to time. Like I say, take off Lucas, put on Bergwijn. Take off Lo Celso, put in on Ndombele. But it doesn't really add to it. It don't really change anything. The formation's the formation. Keep the ball, pop it around amongst each other, and hope for a gap.
But if you actually look at most of the players that want to make a difference, they're the penetrating offensive players. Romero wants to attack. Emerson wants to attack. Reguilon wants to attack. What's one thing we do? We play everything down through the bloody middle, don't we? You know?
Well, I thought Emerson played more crosses today than he's ever done. They weren't all great, to be honest.
No,
but he was trying to get the ball in and getting it in the box quicker.
The problem is that there was actually nobody in the box anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Harry Kane was absolutely missing today.
Yeah,
absolutely missing. There was a couple of opportunities where you thought he would have pounced on that, and he just didn't seem to have the fight. He seemed, to be, 5 yards off it. It was almost happening in front of him, and he was missing it.
He's watching it, wasn't he?
His son weren't anywhere in the middle. He was out on the wing. Tippy-tapping it around with Emerson.
Our mistake is over the last few years not buying a replacement for Kane, right? Because the one thing for me, the one thing that would make a difference now, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, is I would drop Kane into the midfield deliverance role, and I would actually have a proper striker up there. Because Kane would enjoy playing with somebody else that's got pace. That's what he's missing from the game, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we said
Sonny likes pace.
We talked about it, didn't we, on the way up? That without a player, playing as a playmaker, Kane could probably do that job.
Yeah.
Because he can do that.
He's clever enough to do that, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he can be. It's just whether you would, play that formation and give him someone to actually play it to. Because at the moment there is no other striker, and Son is not really a striker, not that out and out striker.
Well, if you actually look at it, years ago, our most successful times, we used to have Rose and Blooming Walker diving up and back, running up and down the wings, didn't we? And then we had Trippier, so much pace, and sort of like attacked from all angles, really, from the sides and through the middle there. Well, now all of a sudden we're trying to walk everything through. And so we've got half a dozen wingers, but we don't ever use any of them as wingers.
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I looked on that bench. I looked on the bench, and he had about 5 defensive players on the bench. So you kind of look at it, you think, well, you can see where his priorities lie. It was just, for me, it was just a really poor game, and it's just so much of the same constantly, and that's the problem. I just can't see it changing. I didn't think Man United played particularly well.
No, not at all.
It was very much just a battle in the midfield of.
They're not a top 6 team at all.
No, but but they still managed to put 3 in the back of our net, and make us look dross, which we are, So but like George said at the beginning, the atmosphere is changing. It's getting worse.
Yeah.
That when he took Lucas off, I mean, the cries of "you don't know what you're doing" were getting louder and louder. Which you can't fail to notice it, really, can you? So I think the fans are getting the hump for sure.
I don't think anyone wants to do that. It's the thing. No one wants to have to be that toxic towards the manager, the players, all that sort of stuff. But as a fan, watching that week in, week out, there is no way other that you can show your displeasure than booing and chanting negative things at what you see. Because otherwise, the message isn't really there. You get the negativity on social media in the peripheral, but you don't get it there in the stadium. And I think that's the difference. When things start to happen, major changes get made in a football club. It's when you see physical evidence of complete displeasure from the fan base, and that's what you're going to get to. That's what you get today. And it wouldn't surprise me that on the back of this, that Nuno was sacked on Monday, But then again, that doesn't, as we know from previous decisions, that does not fix anything.
No.
You can get the world's best coach in tomorrow, and I guarantee you it will still be a problem.
Well, didn't they say we had the world's best coach in Mourinho? And he couldn't get a tune out of any of them either.
And the thing is, with Mourinho, it was very hit and miss. You had one day they were motivated and great, and other times they weren't, and you're like, well, what's happening? And there's probably other factors at play there with Mourinho. I don't think
we should have rotated. We should have turned over the staff and energised the team over the last few years. It's a problem of having the investment in the stadium. That's what's caused the problem there, isn't it? You know.
Well, it's because the board are happy with mediocrity, because mediocrity still pays dividends. I mean, they're making so much money that it doesn't matter to them.
Yeah,
if you get a continued cup runs, right, then you're making money, and it's not just about the revenue from the gate receipts or whatever. It's about the amount of money that they're generating in advertising, the amount of money they're generating in food sales, in drink sales, and all the rest of it. You know, they're making so much money from that. It's just about more and more games. Let's just have more and more games. You know, they don't need, you know, ENIC don't need silverware. The fans need the silverware. We're the ones who want the silverware, aren't we?
That's right, yeah.
They don't care. You know, they earn so much money through cup runs and stuff. It just doesn't matter. So, you know, yeah, of course they want to be in the Champions League spots, because that pays the most money, and that's why they're putting all their eggs into trying to get to that. But Nuno's not the man to take us to the top four, not in my opinion. Not in my opinion.
So who would you think is the right man to take you there?
Someone with an identity, I think, is the answer.
Yeah.
I don't look at Nuno and people who play that way. I mean, I used to think that way about Nuno when he played a 3 at the back with a 5 in midfield at Wolves. And you think, oh yeah, you can see what he does there. That's a very good system. But with what he does at Spurs, it's like, it's almost as if he inherited a 4-3-3 or a 4-3-2-1 or whatever the bloody hell they're playing. And he just sort of felt, well, all right, I'll stick there and I'll play that and hope it works, which we know it doesn't. So there's no identity. So whatever manager you get in, they've got to have a bloody game plan as to what they want to do and how they want to play.
But then you've got to have the squad in place to actually deliver that.
Exactly.
But we keep coming back to, these players are not bad players, are they?
No.
I mean, are they really that bad?
But how many people?
I mean, Davis, I would say, is probably.
We know he's been average for years.
Yeah.
He's stuck around in the squad because he's a good utility man who we can just shove in if we need to. And he'll get about 5 or 6.
Yeah, but he's got worse and worse over the last 2 years, isn't
But
he?
you will if you don't play. You know what I mean? I'm not defending him by any means. It's one of them things where I don't think he's ever been good enough to actually play for Spurs in a starting 11 by any means. But he's the bloke you ship in if you need him to fill the space.
So Lo Celso?
But after today, I mean, I think
Jury's out on that.
my dad had been saying that we've always sort of defended him, but I genuinely after today, I've never seen a player annoy me so much on the football pitch.
He's done nothing.
No.
He's done nothing for Tottenham. He's done nothing. He's clearly a talented individual because he plays so well for Argentina and all the rest of it. But in the Premier League, he just comes across as too lightweight.
Yeah.
He gets pushed over too easy.
It's another enigma, isn't it?
Yeah.
He'll do it in drips and drabs. He'll go on a nice run and he'll sort of do a nice sort of slide draw pass into someone, and it'll be like, oh, lovely. Yeah, that's a great bit of play from Lo Celso. And then again, like a Dombele, you won't see it again for God knows how long.
Yeah, but maybe one of the problems with there is because of the fact none of the players in front of him are making those runs into space for him to feed onto. That's a problem as well, wouldn't it? You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, we are very static, aren't we?
But,
Yeah.
And this is the problem. You've got a lot of good players that aren't working in sync with each other.
Yeah.
So what happens then? I mean, like, how do you get those players working together in a team? You identify a system that doesn't suit the players. You've got to do a system that creates a brand of football that you want to play as a manager. And this is where it comes back to the manager, because they've got to have a brand of identity that says, we are going to play this style of football. It will be, you know, a high press like Jurgen Klopp does, or it will be possession based like Pep and City. Obviously, it's going to be different in style because you ain't got the players to do things in that exact way. But you've got to have some form of idea. Under Nuno, can anyone actually work out what the hell we're trying to do? I don't think we can.
I mean, the only thing he's trying to do is trying to keep us solid, to stop people, you know, scoring against us easily.
That's not a game plan.
Which is not,
match, though, is it?
but it's not even working.
No.
You know. But that's what he's trying to do. In my opinion, that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get them to stop shipping goals by keeping possession of the football.
Your game plan cannot be to stop the other team scoring.
No.
It's like, all right, if we stop the team scoring, play this certain system to get us scoring goals up the other end of the pitch, then fair enough. But it's we'll play it coy. We'll do the 5-yard passes to and from, but we won't actually include our own attacking players.
Yeah, but you look at how many times we're actually giving the ball away at passing to opposition anyway.
Yeah.
We lose possession so quickly, so we're bringing it straight back onto ourselves.
That's been the problem for years. That was a problem under Pochettino as well.
Yeah.
We it's the same sort of core of players as well that were doing it then and doing it now. A lot of the goals that we give away aren't actually from opposing brilliance. It's actually us giving the ball to them.
Yeah, mistakes.
And it's the same old thing as a Spurs fan. You feel like you're cursed saying it.
Well, probably because of the fact that we actually, Spurs fans always say we want the artisan, we want the clever player, the David Ginolas of this world. But every time they're trying to try a trick or something like that, half the time it doesn't come off, does it? And if their players are actually sort of like doing it in the wrong position, that's a mentality thing, of giving the ball away in positions that are leaving them vulnerable. Because Ndombele is another one that actually to do that, isn't he? You know, so skillful.
Look how deep he was playing today. I mean, Ben Davies was further up the pitch than he was, and he's supposed to be in the middle, you know, creating the chances, feeding the strikers and that. I mean, did you see him feed the striker once? You know, when Delhi came on, I'm not even sure he kicked the football, did he? I mean, he kicked the air more than anything.
Yeah, he did 2 good air shots.
You know,
but there was a fly in the way.
it's just really annoying, and it's just a real difficult situation. I think, you know, we need to come to terms with the fact that we are not playing good football, and we are not competing at the level that we would want to. We've had some great opportunities, you know, in the past that's kind of built this expectation. But I think we need to temper our expectation and start thinking about, you know, what we need to do for the future, because this is going to be one tough season to get through.
Would you go for a Nuno in or a Nuno out?
Well, I never wanted Nuno in the first place, right? And to be honest with you, at this moment in time after today's game, I'd much rather see Ryan Mason there and then start again in the summer, because at least with Ryan Mason you think he's got some kind of connection with the players and he's got some kind of, you know, vested interest. Whereas with Nuno, you know, he might as well be a mannequin, because for what he seems to offer, you know, I'm still waiting for him to make us proud. You know, he's going to make us proud, so proud.
I'll be honest.
Well, I'm so far from proud tonight, I tell you.
I'll be honest. It's one of the things where if you ask me that question, would I have Nuno in or Nuno out? My response is I do not care. After what I've seen this season and the back end of last season, I just do not care what happens. As long as something happens and I don't have to watch the pain unfold. And we know that ain't going to happen, but I just hope I don't have to watch it get any worse. So if he gets sacked, he gets sacked. If he stays, he stays. Either way, we're going to be crap for a while. So it's one of them things.
You can't accept that sort of performance today, though.
You can't.
That's shocking. Yeah,
But it's week in, week out, right? This isn't a new. This isn't a new thing, is it?
This is a big problem.
All the way through. We've not played one decent game yet, not in my opinion. We've been beaten convincingly several times already, and yet we haven't beaten anybody convincingly at all.
Tough times.
So on that note, as we're getting close to Fleet Services and we all need a wee and something to eat, I'm going to end the video there. Apologies for the fact that it's really dark, but it is really dark, and apologies if the sound quality or whatever doesn't come out very well, but we keep the faith and we keep marching on. Up the Spurs.
Go on, you Spurs.
Go on, you Spurs.